What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. This is your official pre-match build-up for the game between FC Copenhagen and Manchester United away in Denmark. Very, very tough fixture ahead, judging off what happened in the first one at Old Trafford. For everyone involved, if you are here straight away or if you are just joining, let us know how you're feeling about this game. We're going to dive into the specifics and the team lineup right now. And then I'll get Shreyas' thoughts about the teams, because there's a couple of interesting decisions in there. We're just kind of discussing it off camera, won't we? So we've got Andre Onana in net. We've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back, Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire again as a partnership. We'll talk about Varane. You've got Dalot at left back, who had a bit of a shaky game in the last one. Eriksen, McTominay and Bruno are the makeup of the midfield. And then you have Rashford on the right, Højlund and Garnacho on the left, which is very interesting. I'd like to see the manager's thoughts as to why he's gone for them. But first and foremost, welcome, Shreyas. How are you feeling about that lineup, mate? Let's just stick with the defence first and then we'll go through it together.
I'm actually shocked not seeing Varane in this team. And not seeing Varane, it just makes me wonder as to why he's not being picked. And I don't really want to go into the answer right now as to why he hasn't been picked, because it would just be the worst case scenario if what I'm thinking has actually happened behind, in the locker room. I think defensively, I still have faith in our fullbacks. I think Dalot can be hit or miss, but I still think that he can, keep on his own. I think he's still a decent player to have. Everyone can have an off game here and there, but practically he's been our only fullback who's been fit throughout the course of the season, and he's been played relentlessly as well. So that tiredness, the fatigue, it's going to kick in at one point or another. So, we'll be seeing the effects of that. But I think against the Copenhagen side, I still think Dalot can hold off his own. I think having Varane and Bissaka back in the defensive line is actually very, very mega important, because at least now we've got two fullbacks who are not, they're not slow. It's not like you've got Lindelof playing there that, you need to just stay tucked in. You cannot progress that much forward. With Dalot and Wan-Bissaka, the good thing is they've got the pace to cover up for, if we lose the ball in midfield. Evans and Maguire aren't that vulnerable as they would be if you got Lindelof playing in at left back or at right back. So I think against a team like Copenhagen, maybe it holds, because I think Dalot will have a better performance today. I think Wan-Bissaka will have a good performance today. Maguire has been pretty solid in the past few fixtures as well. Johnny Evans hasn't really put a foot wrong, but you just never know with Johnny Evans. Exactly my point. So
it's been all right.
Yeah, it's not been bad. It's not been absolutely amazing, but it's what you would expect of a fourth choice or a fifth choice centre back to have in your team.
Yeah.
So I still think defensively against Copenhagen, it can be a decent lineup, but judging of how we faced off against them in our last encounter, I'm not really sure as to how this one might play out. We'll need every single one of these guys to be on their toes. Once again, we're going away. They'll be up for it. Their fans will be ecstatic about it as well. So I think in a way it can be a small preview as to what's going to be coming for us when we move to Galatasaray. Because if the simple point is, if these players cannot handle the atmosphere out there today in Copenhagen, there is no way they're going to handle the atmosphere at Galatasaray.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's kind of going with the players that he trusts in that sense, because they won the last game. That midfield, I wouldn't say it worked, but it got the job done. It's probably as balanced as you're going to get it at the moment, considering how the other kind of combinations have worked. We've got Charlie Malman in the chat saying, interesting lineup tonight. Varane is out again of the team. He's most likely leaving the club. UTFR says, what the fuck has Varane done? Simon Davis says, I'm changing my mind. Copenhagen 2-1. Sorry, just being honest. Just go for it. Varane is a very interesting one. You've got the January window coming up. You've got Saudi kind of sniffing around that deal. He hasn't got the best injury record, but having said that, he is the best probably the best centre back at the club, depending on what kind of style and profile.
When he's fit, he is one of the best centre backs that you can probably have.
He is the best one that you can have. But then I don't know if it's all stemming from the derby when he picked Johnny Evans over him, because if you were Raphael Varane, with all due respect, Johnny Evans, I've won Champions Leagues, I've won World Cups, and my manager's starting a 35-year-old Johnny Evans over me, I'm going to be a little bit pissed off, to be honest with you.
Practically been one of the best centre-backs in Europe for 4 to 5 years continuously.
That's the point.
Alongside
So
Ramos.
he doesn't strike me as the type of guy to just kick off over nothing.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, then I don't know. Maybe we'll hear some more things about it. Maybe someone will fucking leak it to the press.
Yeah, it will.
I'm not
I think
entirely
it will
sure.
happen eventually, and I think the worst case scenario can just be that Saudi actually end up taking Rafael Varane in the January transfer window.
Yeah.
The thing is, it will be a massive blow. It will be a massive blow because I'm still not sure if Lisandro Martinez will be back till January or even February.
New Year, innit?
Yeah.
Him and Casemiro New Year.
Exactly,
so that's a leader that you're losing as well. Not only that, like captain of France, you know what I mean? I don't get why he's playing him over. I mean, there's probably reason for it. I'm sure he'll come out and say, they know each other, the chemistry style's better. We can't keep chopping and changing with Varane. It brings inconsistencies because he's never available all the time. I don't know. Maybe that's just excuses. I have absolutely no idea, but we can only take it at face value, and we can only, he's on the bench.
Will, but I think the only point I would say is that earlier on I would have said, we'll go into the January window and you still, go in for, into the hunt for another striker to back up Højlund in this team. But now I'll go into this window and say we need, if not one, but two centre backs to actually come in and fit right into this team. Because if you're not playing Varane, I'm not sure Johnny Evans is a player who can handle like 40 to 45 games a season. I'm not sure that he's at that level anymore. Exactly. You need someone who has that, versatility, who has that exposure, that stamina, and that hunger as well, which younger players tend to have to actually, go week in and week out, be one of the top performers, carry the, club's badge on your back as well. So it has a multitude of factors to go along with it. And if Varane isn't playing, or if Varane is actually shown the way out during the January window, we are in a desperate need for a centre back who can come in and slot in alongside Lisandro Martinez, because I think what could happen during the course of the season is that when Luke Shaw comes back, him and Lisandro form a pair as centre backs, and then probably Dalot still features off and left back, or when Malacia, whenever he comes back, whatever his injury is, maybe he takes in that position, maybe Reguilon eventually takes in that position. But I think so far I'm not even seeing him say that Reguilon is injured, and Reguilon hasn't been picked either.
Yeah. So, well, that's what I was going to touch on next. It'd be interesting to get everybody's thoughts in the chat. I know a few of you already comment, but get your comments in. How you feeling about our lineup? How you feeling about the game tonight in particular? Dalot's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you brought Reguilon in as that kind of the emergency left back. He obviously got injured again, but in his first couple of games, he looked really, really good.
He looked decent.
And then equally, Dalot, was it against Arsenal? Completely shook Saka down, was really, really good. But then in the last couple of games, I thought he'd been out of form, so I thought I think we both thought he might have gone with Reguilon back at left back.
Exactly my point, that I would say Dalot is a player who is right now hit and miss, and maybe it's got to do with the amount of fixtures that he's played continuously, since the start of the season, since he's been the only one available in that fullback slot. But I do know that Dalot is still young and he has a very high potential, judging of last season, judging of this season as well. He has been given some very good performances, got us practically the 3 points against Sheffield United as well. So he's been in and around, he's been performing well, but then there have been games when he's just not at it altogether. Like he's been completely washed off by attackers. And in the Champions League, I don't think that we've seen a better version of Dalot as to what we've seen in the Prem. But hopefully we see a better performance from him today. But it just doesn't feel right how this squad is shaped up. Like I still believe that this squad can get the job done, but not having Amrabat in this team, not having Varane in this team, not having Reguilon in this team, it just doesn't feel right going into a fixture in which you need to win at all costs if you want to stay alive in the Champions League.
Yeah, well, I think in the last game, correct me if I'm wrong, Amrabat started, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
At Old Trafford, I'm pretty sure he did, because he was playing that false nine. They kept dropping in and causing problems when we were trying to play out from the back. Eriksen brings that football. I want to talk a little bit about the midfield. He does bring that football, but we know he has difficulties off it. You can't function him
as a 6. Maybe you put him in a 10. In today's fixture, I would say if you play Eriksen as a 10, he can be very good for today's fixture. But if you feature him as a 6, he's not got the legs. I would rather feature Bruno as a 6. Yeah, I would rather feature Bruno as a 6.
Very risky.
Yeah, and no Mount either.
No, that's what I mean. What the fuck's going on? I really, really don't know what's going on. You brought in Mason Mount. Like Varane, you can kind of say injured, or had an argument, or whatever it is. Mason Mount's your priority signing, mate. You bought him for 60 million quid and was pushing for him since like February. So how's he not starting against Copenhagen?
He was a first signing this season.
in an away game in the Champions League, Mason Mount is one of them players you would usually turn to, them hard workers in midfield, and he hasn't gone with it. So now it's got to a point where it's like, look, I'm trying these players, they're not working. It's a case of just get fucking results now. Just need to get results. Simple
Maybe
as that.
it has to do with that, but I still think going into today's fixture, you need I still think that this team cries out for Mason Mount in a lot of occasions. We've seen it against Sheffield. We've seen it again in a number of situations as well, where we've seen you need more legs, you need more creativity. You take Anthony off, put him there on the right wing. Maybe he can show us something that Anthony is not showing us. Because if you have to look into pressing, if you have to look into work rates, Mason Mount is one of the top players to have in the PL if you go off by those stats. But I think that there is a slot for him in this team, and if you're going to pick this midfield, I would rather have Mason Mount than having Scott McTominay, because McTominay, we all know, he's going to be playing as that secondary striker behind Højlund, and it hasn't been working out for 3 to 4 games now.
But it's a weird one with McTominay because he scores, doesn't he? But then in the midfield, like, he doesn't really contribute loads, but then he does get forward and he does get a goal. That's what I mean.
It's a 50-50.
He's our top scorer.
Yeah, he is. But I think it's 50-50 because it's not even a certainty that he will score a goal. He might score a goal. He has scored a goal, but I think he's just got 1 or 2 goals. He scored one against Sheffield. Yeah. He got a couple against Brentford. But I still think that if you're playing having a player like Scott McTominay into this team, only because he provides you with probably a single goal throughout the course of the game. Like, all I see from McTominay is he scores a goal, then he goes invisible. It's very dangerous to go in with that sort of a situation, because having McTominay in that midfield instantly means that you've just got Bruno and Eriksen to play there. And Bruno and Eriksen, we've seen in all the games, our midfield has been absolutely stagnant. It's been invisible. It's been gone, run over. I still don't know how, Harry Maguire and Evans haven't really been conceding a lot of goals, considering the kind of shielding that they've got in front of them. But it's a very shaky midfield to go in with. And I know that Amrabat hasn't really been having the best of times, but I would still pick him because he's the only designated 6 that we have. At least, you bring in Amrabat. It just means that you still got someone who knows how to function as a CDM. Out of all these 3 players, I don't think any one of them has it in their, instinct to play as a 6.
Yeah. Why bring an Amrabat in? We talk about Mount and Varane. What's the point in bringing fucking Amrabat in if you're not going to play him as a 6 when we need him? It's just very, very confusing with me. With Bruno McTominay, you got 2 players there who scored in the last game. I know McTominay's was apparently, Maguire was interfering play and all that bollocks. But he's been scoring. Bruno scored a very important goal in the last game, showed fight. Weren't necessarily an amazing performance from him, but you're going to need goals tonight. So maybe that's why he's gone for. But what they don't do is they don't supply the striker. In 160 minutes, Højlund hasn't had a chance created for him. So do you think maybe that's why they tweaked it? The graphics saying on here on TNT that Garnacho's on the right and Rashford's on the left.
I don't think so. I think
it's going to interchange,
yeah, they're going to interchange, so it hardly makes a difference who's playing off which slot. But I really feel for Højlund in this team, because we all know that, once he gets those chances, like, even if Højlund gets like 4 to 5 chances per game, he's going to be converting half of those. We've seen his instinct. He's actually got a true instinct of a number 9, the way he runs, the way he's able to, make those runs into the box. He's very good in the air whenever he's been supplied with the crossing. So I still think there's, a lot more in Højlund to actually offer to this team. We're just not, using a striker the way a striker needs to be used. Like, we've got a striker in for 75 million. Actually play to his strengths. Like, in this attack right now, if you need to maximize this attack, if you need to score goals, if you want to get, the maximum out of your players, the only way that can happen is if you, supply a striker. And having a really young striker who's been one of the top scorers in the Champions League as well at such a young age, with, such a big price tag as well, you need to be giving him more. And maybe having Garnacho helps with that. But I think Rashford really needs to get his act together. The thing is, whenever it starts to click with him, Rashford, it will just be like the next 2 to 3 months, you will see a completely different version of Marcus Rashford altogether. Like, we all starts to, find form.
It's like a switch on the back of his neck.
Exactly.
They just go.
Yeah. And the point is, whenever that switch is not turned on, it's so bad that it's hard to watch. But when that switch is turned on, he can just score goals from anywhere in that field. Right wing, left wing, striker, number 10. Put him anywhere in any slot, in and around the box. He has a lot of quality to offer, but it's just hard to see it like this with a young striker actually carrying the entire workload of that attacking line. It's just very hard to see.
We're going to speak a little bit more about the attack shortly. I just want to read out some comments. Yeah. Lewis is saying, end of the road tonight. Big up to Lewis. Simon Davis saying, sustainability. UTFR says, to be fair, I'd take 50 million for Varane from Saudi right now. I mean, I probably would. If you can reinvest that into Debo or something, I'd probably snap your hand off for it. Tim99, who's a member, if you want to become a member, click the link in the bio. We have got a members video dropping at some point this week, so keep an eye out for that. You get a badge next to your name and a chance to feature on the show as well when we get to 22 members. Tim99 saying, I'm feeling stupidly confident of a win, hoping the season turns around tonight. I love the optimism. And then he also says there's no spine in that lineup, so it's kind of like... But I'll take your point. If you want to create for Højlund, you don't play two greedy players like Rashford and Garnacho. I agree to a certain extent, but Garnacho, at least he does try to get it across the box. Like, he will square it, which you saw, for the goal.
I will say he doesn't do it as often, but he does it more. He does it
more than Anthony and Rashford.
Yeah. That's why I thought maybe Pellistri gets a start in this one, because then you actually see more crosses being pinged into the box. Because whenever I've seen Uruguay play, Nunez just gets ball at his feet every single time Pellistri features from the right hand side. He is a crossing type of winger. The wingers who just want to, ping that ball into the center of the box. He's one of those sort of wingers. And I think Højlund can benefit from that sort of a profile on the flanks, because that's what he actually needs. That's what he's been doing for Denmark as well as for Atlanta last season.
Yeah, I hope we see some... Just provided the striker, just please get it into the box. If you get a chance, drill it across the goal. Because Højlund will score. He's there. He's making the correct runs. If you watch him as a striker, he is doing the right things. He really, really does. And sometimes when he drops, he can link play. I like what I've seen from him. So I want to see service from him tonight. And hopefully Garnacho and Rashford can provide that. When we take a look at the subs bench, as we've got Bayende, Heaton, Lindelof, Reguilon, Varane, Amrabat, Hannibal, Mount, Forson, Pellistri, Anthony and Martial. I know what one of the answers is going to be, but who would you, if the game's a little bit tight, 60th minute, 70th minute, who would you look to turn to on that bench?
Mount or Martial. I think at least for like a 20-25 minute cameo, Martial can come good. Whenever he's featured off, I think he can still be decent for us as a cameo or as a support striker to have on the field. I think Mason Mount can do a really good job against a team like Copenhagen. Because I think the way they play and the system they play, you need players like, Mason Mount, who are very agile on the ball. They keep on moving. Their mobility is good. Exactly my point. And whenever they need it, they are able to just, slow the, pace of the game down as well. So you need those sort of players on the field, I think. So Mason Mount could make a difference. Martial can. Pellistri can. Except that maybe we see Amrabat in this game. Maybe. Not sure. Maybe we see, because if we lead like with a couple of goals, like 2-0 or 1-0, if we are leading, maybe then we see Amrabat coming onto the field just to close the game down. But if we are losing, and I don't think we see Amrabat.
I do feel like it lacks a little bit of steel throughout the team. Someone mentioned about the spine before. It lacks that bit of steel, leadership. I do worry about that, because when we focus on the game at Old Trafford, the first 45 minutes they played us off the park, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They did. For second half we started off quite bright. Then it got dull. After scoring the goal, it got extremely dull. So I think this team needs a lot of momentum. They need to be starting games more positively. Maybe Bruno can help with that because he's the captain. So maybe just keep the energy flowing through the entire team for the full 90. But you can't go into games wishing that everything goes well in the first 30 minutes of the game, and if it doesn't, then the heads drop and you concede a goal, and then you just for the entirety of the game you cannot do anything altogether. That's not how you can run into games. So maybe when Lisandro Martinez comes back into the team, that helps. Maybe when players like Luke Shaw come into the team, because I think it was Sabitzer who recently had an interview and said that Casemiro, Martinez and Luke Shaw, they are like the leaders of this team.
Yeah.
They keep the mentality, and they keep, they're able to keep that energy flow going on. I think that is what we're actually lacking, because I still think in a lot of games, like even take the Manchester derby for example. I think if we had Lisandro Martinez, in that team, you wouldn't see Manchester City playing in a way where they're not even trying. I don't think that that happens. I'm not saying that we go out and win that game, but I'm saying it wouldn't have been as easy as it was.
Yeah, I agree. Do you know what? It's a lot of changes. You've just got to kind of throw blind faith in the players. And I understand why people would be negative. I understand, seeing that lineup, why you probably change your mind about the score prediction. But you've got to have faith. You've got to have faith. I'm going to have faith at least.
Yeah.
Maybe for the first 5 minutes to see how we fucking start off, and then I'll change it. But if we look at Copenhagen, Treyas, managed by Jakob Niestrup, I think his name is, made a few interesting comments in the press conference saying we've got our atmospheres 100 times better than Old Trafford or something along the lines of that. The fans are going to be proper up for this one. Like, this is their cup final. This is United, coming to their hometown. They're going to be... I don't know if you've seen the videos, but the fucking fans are wild, mate. Flares and fireworks and all that kind of stuff. And we know sometimes the players struggle to deal with the atmosphere a little bit. Do you think that may be an issue for some of the players?
Yeah. I still remember when the draw was being made for this Champions League and we picked out this group, I just thought to myself, Galatasaray away, Copenhagen away, Bayern Munich away, and I would have said, Lisandro Martinez would love that sort of an atmosphere. That hostility. He's someone who can thrive off that. Having Casemiro in this team, there are players who will thrive off that sort of an atmosphere. Now that those two players are not there, it's...
No steel.
Exactly.
There's no steel.
It's too soft when it comes to certain players. And I'm probably expected Bruno to maybe, somehow keep that energy alive, but it's just not been there. So maybe if the senior players, once again, like Rashford, can step up, hopefully Maguire can have a good game today as well. If Van Bissaka is able to have a stellar performance as well, I think this team, if they win, probably it can help us out massively in the next game against Galatasaray, because that is the game where it all goes down. If we win, we survive. If we lose, we go out. That's the only way it goes, because I still have no hope for getting the W against Bayern, playing them at Old Trafford. I just don't see it happening. So it's the only, for us to only qualify, we just need to get 2 wins right off the bat against Copenhagen as well as Galatasaray.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear everybody else's thoughts. There's 19 people in the chat. Talk to me. Drop your score predictions in. Me and Treyas are going to give ours in the next kind of 10 minutes. Also, just want to stick with Copenhagen for a little while. Top of their domestic league, obviously number one. Bottom of their group, of the Champions League group, 1 draw and 2 losses, but I don't think that really tells the whole story in terms of how they've played. They went up against Bayern, they went 2 up against Galatasaray. I mean, there was probably the better team at Old Trafford, so they've been really unlucky. And you have to kind of think, maybe the luck's going to turn around at some point. That's why I think tonight's going to be so tough. I really do.
Yeah.
In the last game, they started with Grabaru, Net, Ankerson, Vavro, Dykes, and Yeller. They had Goncalves, Jensen, and Let's Go in midfield. And then El Yunus, Klassian, and that Chori on the left-hand side. It was a fucking absolute problem. We touched on it slightly with Wan-Bissaka, but he's going to have to nullify him tonight. If you can shut him up, it's fine, because he was the bright spark who was causing problems. So fingers crossed with that one, Wan-Bissaka will do his job. Spring on counter-attacks, really good in possession. Need to watch out for little things like that. But yeah, Achor is the main threat, I would say. Any kind of others off the bench, I don't really know. But yeah, it's an interesting game. I really don't know what to expect from this one, because the wins that we've had, Treyas, they haven't been convincing at all. You look any of the wins at all, you can go through them with a fine tooth comb and just say, we only won that because of this.
The only one win that we've had this season, and it's been convincing, has been against Palace in the Carabao Cup. That's the only win where I'll say we look good.
When they changed 10 players or something, wasn't it?
And we had when we had our junior players playing in the attack. So
yeah,
it speaks a lot as to what kind of a season we've had up until now. Maybe eventually we turn it around, but I think this game could go anywhere. I don't see it ending up as a draw. I think either Copenhagen win or either we win. I don't see it being a draw in any aspect, but I just think after this game, if we win, Ten Hag will get a lot of praise. But I think if we lose, there will be massive pressure on Ten Hag, especially regarding this team that he's put out, because not having Amrabat as a 6, not having Mason Mount, your number 7, someone you brought in as a priority, no Varane, Dallo being
maybe
picked
just going
again
for
and again.
results. If he believes as a manager that is the best, that is your team that will get you a win, then fair enough. You know, you have to do what you got to do. If you fully believe that's the best time to get a result, then we'll see. We'll see what happens. Because if he wins, like he says after it, he'll be vindicated. If he loses, it's going to be criticism.
I think if he loses, then every aspect of this team gets questioned. Attack, defense, midfield, there's no hiding from it. But if he gets it right, then, you know, it just shows. Then, you know, this is the 11 that he trusts right now. That's it.
Yeah. Simon Davis says the senior players need to get there together, perform, and bring the youth through. I really would have liked to see Kobe Mainu, someone like that, but he played with the under-21s, didn't he? So he's not available. Still trying. I think they're slowly bringing him back. They don't want to rush him into it with him being a youngster. UTFR says, I'd like to see Anthony on the left. If he could play as an old school left winger, he could save his career. Simpler wing play, beat your man and cross it in. Just a thought. I know what you mean.
Even I get it, but I don't think it will work either on the left wing, because he's not beating his men on the right.
Show him in on his...
Exactly. It's not been working on the right.
You know he's shit on it. They'd literally go on the right side and just go on, mate. You go on your right foot there, not a problem. Because you're not going to do anything, are you?
The only thing... I get the idea of it that, you know, just beat a man and go in with the cross, but the problem is he's not even beating his man on the right wing. It's not a question... either. Yeah, it's not a question of him not being able to... you know, put in crosses on the right. He never puts in crosses in the first place. The problem with Anthony is he slows the game up, you know, he slows the game down. He moves forward very rapidly, then passes the ball backwards, allows team to get back into their position. So this whole method of Ten Hag, which is to play on transition football, it's supposed to be quick. Anthony is not that quick. He might be quick when he has to take shots, but he's not quick when he has to progress with the ball forward, and that's what kills off most of our attacks. Rashford, I would still say, at least he doesn't slow the pace of the game down. Like when he is on the ball, at least he moves it forward. His decision making has been terrible, but at least it doesn't cost us the entire attack altogether.
Yeah, agreed. The Insider United on Twitter, who's got a lot of things right about United. He's not some shit account that don't know anything. He's brought things to light quite a few times over the past couple of weeks. He's just tweeted saying Varane missed training on Tuesday at the last minute. It's been suggested that it was not because of injury. He's not happy about something. So yeah, that's another thing to fucking deal with down the road. I heard something about Mount as well. We've got James from the Muppeteers on tomorrow, who's obviously knows his stuff and has inside knowledge on these kind of things. So I'm going to ask him about Varane, and we're going to ask him about Mason Mount as well, because apparently there's something ongoing there. So yeah, it seems to be a lot of kind of turmoil in the dressing room at the moment. Let's just hope it doesn't affect the game. Tim99 says, Charlie Malmlin says, question is, will it be Rash or Garnacho who will play on the right-hand side? I think it's going to be Marcus on the right, to be honest. If evidence is to suggest what we've seen from previous games, I think it's Marcus on the right and then Garnacho. But like you said, it can be interchangeable as well, so it's not, nailed on that he's going to stay on that right-hand side. United Tactical Talk says 2-1 Man United. Love the optimism. Lewis says, I'd prefer to go out and spare the embarrassment of the big boys. Well, me, Chivi, and Sam were saying that yesterday. It was like, if we're going to drop down, I'd rather not drop down into the Europa League or the Conference League.
Just go finish fourth.
Just fucking end it. Just forget about it. Like, we can focus on the league. We can try, get back into the Champions League. And refocus, but if you're going to drop that, I don't want to be hearing that Europa League music and then we play Liverpool and get fucking beat in the final or some negative shit.
Oh, yes.
No, yeah.
no.
Exactly. Yeah, no. DJ Superfly says, did I hear right on TalkSport? Is Højlund's brother against us tonight? His younger brother scored against our youth team. I think so, yeah. I think it's Oscar Højlund. I think it's Oscar Højlund, and then there's another one who scored, like you said, a penalty earlier on today. So, again, it's another massive night for him. We didn't even really speak about that, did we? In depth. Huge night for Højlund. His family's probably going to be in the stands. He's got to score, hasn't he? He's got to score.
He has to, but will we allow him to score? That's the question.
Yeah. Does that worry you at all, the fact that he hasn't, or do you think it is simply just because we're not supplying him enough? Same with Bruno as well, right? Is Bruno supplying him enough?
I don't think so. Not yet. I haven't been seeing that link up yet. I still think even if our wingers aren't providing him with, the necessary service, once at least Bruno is able to match that chemistry up with Højlund, his workload and his presence can be much more, well served on the field. Even if only Bruno is able to get that connection well, but until that happens, it's going to be rough. And like you said, 160 or 170 minutes, and he hasn't had even a sniff in the box. So we can't really say that it's on him. It's definitely on the players surrounding him. So
yeah, they just got the rankings up here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Shreyas, just very quickly. They got a graphic up here. So ranked with goals with 12th, big chances created 11th, shot faced 14th, goals conceded 12th, possession 9th. That's the league stats that we've got at the moment. So that is proper mid-table form at the moment.
And we have not even come up against most of the big teams yet.
Yeah, we've still got Liverpool to play at Anfield, haven't we? In December. I don't think we played Chelsea yet. Have we played Villa? Not played Aston Villa, who are doing well at the moment. I remember. Have we played Newcastle in the league?
No, not in the league. We played them in the
Not
Carabao.
played Newcastle in the league?
No.
Yeah, so we've still got some very big games.
I think our top players, we only faced Tottenham, we play City, and we come up against Arsenal. I think that's the three.
Yeah, and that's when the big players need to start coming back. But like you said, I don't think Lissandro or Casemiro is going to be back till the new year. And I think Luke Shaw's back at the end of this month.
Yeah,
I think it's a big injury, so you really don't want to rush it back.
It was reported that Luke Shaw can be back, playing till Christmas. So it's still a good 1.5 months out.
Yeah. There's a couple of quotes here from Erik ten Hag, the man himself, saying, "We trust this team. They did very well last Saturday. They can still do better in possession, but they fought as a team, and then you have to give trust." Like we said, it's a team that is going to go out there. But look, I think as a Copenhagen manager, as Copenhagen players tonight, I'll be looking at that United team and I'll be like, we can get at these.
They look into this team, they'll just say that we just need to attack forward. They've just got 4 players in the defense, no midfield altogether.
Literally, yeah. Like if we can counter press or transition really, really well and win that ball back, we'll be fine. Or not even that, they can create their own kind of patterns because they're decent in possession.
Yeah,
they kill you off, get the fans behind you, get an early goal or whatever, and it'll be helpful.
If they get an early goal, it's done. that's
Do you know what the killer thing is? I was watching Man City yesterday against Young Boys, right? And they scored 3 goals, took Haaland off, took a few more players off, light work, through to the last 16, not a fucking problem at all. We're all sat here as a community, as fans, saying Copenhagen away, I'm not really sure, don't really trust that team, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's
I would just say, take this analogy as well. They take Haaland off and they say, easy game. We take Rashford off and we say we desperately need him off and we need Garnacho on.
Yeah, that's the difference. It really, really is. Interesting comments here from Owen Hargreaves, who's on the punditry tonight. He's saying, after Onana's save at Old Trafford, we felt it was a turning point, but for it to be a turning point, they need to win tonight. They need a great performance to kick off their season. They absolutely have to win tonight. They have to get the job done. And I've not even spoke about that. I've completely forgot about Onana's penalty save. We could have been even more in the mud had he not saved that. Do you think he personally has turned a corner?
I think he has. He was very decent against Sheffield. Then he, made the penalty save that pretty much kept us alive in this competition still. I think even against Man City, he was quite good in the Manchester derby. I think he made really good saves in that game. After that, the game we had just now, against Fulham. I think against Fulham as well, he was decent. So, judging of how he started this season, he was making mistakes left, right, and center. It was like any single team, even if they get one shot on target, it's going to be a goal. So he has come back from it in flying colors, and if he's able to keep it on, at least we can say one of our signings has made it into this first 11 and is doing good, because right now none of the players that we signed are even getting a sniff in this team.
Yeah, considering we can't even use him what we bought him for, playing out from the back in a minute because we got Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire in front of him. So, he's actually shot stopping has come back into it, which I'm happy about because people were criticising it. And I know he's a little bit unorthodox in the way he saves. Sometimes you're like, oh, fucking hell. But I think once he gains more and more confidence, I think
it'll come
be okay.
eventually.
Look, I'm not going to beat around the bush anymore. I want a score prediction, but tell me the reasons why you think it's going to go like that, and tell me the goal scorers as well, if you can.
I think it will be a 2-0 or a 1-0. I don't see them scoring because if I have to completely say this, when I see this Copenhagen team, it reminds me a lot about Wolves. You know, a team that plays very well against us, but they're just not able to find the back of the net. Like whenever we've come up against Wolves, you know, they've practically played us off the park, but they've never been able to score a goal, and we get one goal or a couple of goals, and
you're just cursing it now.
Yeah,
you're cursing it.
Yeah, then
they never score against us. Don't worry about it. It's absolutely fine. You're setting it up there for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but still, and I think going forward, I think Rashford starts to find some form today. You know, he's had some time off. I think it was disciplinary reasons why he was not given the start in the last fixture as well. So, you know, maybe he comes back well. Maybe he's able to, you know, impose his presence more in the attacking third and make some good choices. And it's Garnacho's first start in quite some time as well. So maybe he's able to, you know, shine in his first start after quite some time.
The run of games.
Yeah.
With Garnacho, do you think that's the first time he's had a string of games? Usually he starts and then he'll just be back to a sub again, won't
he? Yeah. I think he still needs like 6 more games or 7 more games of continuous starts. Like if Rashford has got like 10 starts or 11 starts continuously regardless of form, I think even Garnacho warrants it. So I think the attack might still work. Maybe it still works. Midfield is a big question mark. Defense is also a big question mark as to how Copenhagen will actually set up against us. So you never know how the midfield or, you know, the defense might stack up. Goalkeeping, I'm still a little bit confident. In Højlund, I'm confident. But except that, the whole team is a big question mark. If we are able to find the rhythm when we start off this game, you know, maybe we see a better version of football tonight. But, you know, if we start the game on the back foot, we allow them to, you know, occupy those, you know, difficult areas on the field, losing out on the ball, scrappy play, not winning, you know, the loose balls, scrappy passes, which we've been seeing a long time as well. You know, I think even in the game against Sheffield, the last game against Copenhagen, our passing has been abysmal. Like we haven't really been passing the ball quite well. So a lot of things need to be, you know, set right for us to actually be having a good performance tonight. And I hope it turns out in the right direction, but I still think maybe it will be a scrappy 1-0 or a 2-1.
You've got to fucking start right. You have to start right if you want to win this game. You can't be a little bit behind because the fans will get on your back. They'll start playing football and we'll be under the cosh. It's just crazy to say fucking Copenhagen that we're in this situation. But like you said, I just want to advance. I don't think we're going to win it now, obviously. I think we're going to struggle. But if we do get through to the round of 16, at least then I don't think you go drop down into the Europa League, do you? Or do you?
No. The only way you go down to Europa League is finishing third.
Yeah, if that can happen, then fucking great. That's the silver lining in this campaign. Hopefully we can get top 4 again, which is, again, it's going to be scrappy. But yeah, that's where we're at. I'm going to go, I think 1-1. I think the fans will get on our back. I think, just purely from what I saw in the last game, I thought they played better football than us. They're going to be at home. They're going to be more comfortable. And I think it'll be a very, very tough game. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope we smash him. But we just have to wait and see, I suppose. Yeah, I think we've covered most bases, like literally every corner of this game that we possibly could. So we can leave it at that. We can go and enjoy the game. Me and Sam are going to be live for the review, whether it's 9-0 to Copenhagen or 9-0 to us. We will be live for the review, so make sure
it might be 9-0 to Copenhagen. It will never be 9-0 to us.
Oh, yeah, we will never score 9 in the game, ever, unless you get like 3 men sent off, and even then it's...
and we get 7 penalties.
Yeah, me and Sam will be discussing it in depth with our analysis. Hopefully, we'll be discussing a win. So make sure you come and join us for the review. I know it's a little bit of a late one, but it should be worth it, hopefully. And yeah, go and enjoy the game, and we'll speak to you after it.
Yeah.
Take care. See you in a bit.